All right, welcome back and welcome in, Outsiders, the Outsider Sports Football Podcast here on Tuesday, December 12th, 23. Corey Jason's with me tonight. I'm Ryan Valiant. And if you're a fan of the podcast, make sure you show your support, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you listen or watch. Ring the notification bells for when new episodes go live. Leave a like, leave a comment, join our discussion on here in the YouTube comments or on Twitter at Outsider Sports 3. And check out our website, www.outsidersports.net, for all the content going live there. Make sure you check out our power rankings. We always have behind the scenes some great deliberation there and who should be in, who should be out. And I noticed this week the top spot and the couple spots in the middle stayed. A lot of other moving around going on.
About time.
Especially at the bottom. It seems, every week it's that 9 and 10 spots, two different teams, because the playoff picture is just that crowded. I can't remember a year, I don't know about you, Corey, that's been this crowded, especially in the AFC.
I mean, AFC, NFC, there's so much parity this year where there's not really a single team that I think is so far and away better than everybody. You can say the Niners or the Eagles or the Cowboys. I certainly don't think the Ravens or the Chiefs or the Jaguars or the Dolphins, run away from the middle of the pack. But there's just so much parity this year, and I don't understand why. What changed from last year?
It could be just a lot of these quarterbacks getting hurt. I mean, Burrow's been out, Richardson's been out, but Indianapolis still. They lose to the Bengals this past week with Jake Browning, who, I mean, he's been awesome in 2 weeks, knocking off Jags. But it's like these teams, especially in the AFC, they're almost allergic to winning and separating themselves. I mean, Baltimore stands alone, but Miami with the upset loss to Tennessee. The Chiefs, the Kadarius Toney situation, whatever
Was that
side of
three
the
of their last
fence you
four they've
fall on.
lost? Was that three of the last four they've lost?
I think so.
Has Mahomes ever lost that many games in that span?
I don't know, but it's certainly the pass catchers are letting them down, I think. Whether it's figuratively or literally dropping the ball.
You think do you think his complaining about that penalty hurts his legacy? Because I can't think of him now without thinking that he's a crybaby.
I don't think it hurts his legacy. I think
He's going to be known as a whiner and a complainer.
what if I mean he hasn't really done it before. What if he doesn't do it again?
Then everybody's going to look at the time that he was a whiner and
The
complainer.
one time.
You fail a
Everyone
drug
says that about Brady. He did that.
in
There's
baseball.
plenty.
You fail one drug test for steroids, you're going to be labeled a steroid user for your whole career, even if you never use it again.
I feel like that's a little bit different, but I get your point.
You do it once, you're going to be known for it. And the way he did it, he didn't complain like a competitor. He complained like a whiny brat.
He did do that.
Like when Brady complains, you feel some passion, not, oh, boo-hoo, you can't call that there. We won a Super Bowl because you didn't make a call, but you can't call this one here against the Bills. Like, get over yourself, Kermit.
The Kermit comparisons will never not be funny.
No, and that adds to it, like Kermit complaining to the refs. Like, if his voice was normal, maybe, it would get a little less play, but because he sounds the way he does.
Well, regardless, the Chiefs, yeah, they're losing in ways we didn't think the Chiefs would ever lose games, but that's what's happening to them this year. Jacksonville has dropped to games to the Bengals and the Browns these past 2 weeks, leaving the door open for Indianapolis and Houston to maybe catch them for the division.
Indianapolis?
But then Indianapolis and Houston both lost this week as well. So Pittsburgh losing as well to New England. And with that Bengals and then the Bills winning, we have 6 teams at 7-6 right now. And again, at the top of the AFC, Baltimore sits alone by a game, then Miami, and then Kansas. Like, no one's really separating themselves there. And then, of course, the race in the NFC has San Francisco and Dallas and Philly. They got their thing going on. Detroit's not far behind. And then the NFC South still exists. Kyle Pitts, Baker Mayfield, make of that as you will. Did you see Eric McCoy barking in Derek Carr's ear?
Yeah. I don't think that team likes Derek Carr. I don't think they like him.
No, I don't like him either. I think it's time for Jameis.
Jameis is going to be so fun because all he does is just chuck it up. Like, he's not good, but he is fun because he will just throw the ball. He will
Yeah,
generate offense and he'll generate defense by throwing so many interceptions.
and we're pretty sure the winner of this division is not going to have a winning record. So I mean, what you're sitting at 6-7 now. What do you have to lose by going to Jameis?
I say go to Jameis on Sunday, but don't tell him and don't let him prepare. Let him just go right away without thinking, put him in the worst possible spot to succeed.
I mean, Josh
No
Dobbs pulled it
ulterior
off.
no ulterior motives behind that or
Oh,
anything about who the Saints play.
not even a little bit.
No.
No,
Not one cutlet licking minute. Just, you know, put the Saints in the most difficult way to succeed. Maybe take the week off. Don't take say you need an extra bye week, take like the loss. You're only gonna be a game out of your division at that point anyway.
yeah, the
So
Saints feel like a good experiment target to do that on. Like, let the NFL toy around with that second bye week. Let the Saints be the test subject, right?
yeah, take the forfeit, take it as a second bye week, and let whatever happens.
Yeah.
Maybe you come out strong and win the division that way.
Or throw in the backup quarterback because we know plenty of teams are doing that this year. It seems like almost half the league. Because now we have another one, Justin Herbert, the latest star quarterback to suffer a season-ending surgery.
I can't help but feel we're missing something today before we get into Herbert.
Is it Cole Report Weekly?
It is.
I said they lost to the Bengals.
Yeah, but
I didn't have all the pomp and circumstance of it, but there's not
yeah.
much to report. They weren't good this week. Somehow
Well,
they still have the 7th seed right now, but they're in a this week, this game against Pittsburgh this Saturday is huge. I think whoever loses this game is almost out of it just because of how crowded it really is.
see, that's what I'm looking for. This type of Colts, report weekly. Colt stuff cheap.
I
That
got a
type of stuff.
report on the Colts, and the original bit was going to be Cole Report Weekly, but I wasn't going to do it every week. But you just loved it so much that I had to.
Well, I like the Colts. The Colts and the Giants and the Broncos to a lesser degree are like brethren. We have that Manning love.
Yeah.
Although, do the Colts fans still like Peyton Manning?
Oh, we love him. I
Yeah,
feel like the media makes it seem like we don't.
who do you blame for his departure?
I don't necessarily blame anyone. I mean, when you
Like
when you
you're
have a
okay.
quarterback getting how many neck surgeries, I mean, I probably would have done the same thing. I can't blame old Jim. I blame him for putting Ryan Grigson in charge of putting a team around Andrew Luck because he failed to do that.
That's true.
We could have that despite, but no, I mean it's almost like what's happening with Herbert now. He has another injury, and I actually on Twitter said that Herbert should not be. I mean, we know my feelings on Josh Allen. I have Herbert even lower than that. I said Herbert's not a winner
I would
because
agree with you with that one too. I think.
I had people in my Twitter mentions coming after me. He was like, "What? You're serious?" The
What does he won?
Gordon Ramsay gif of an idiot sandwich was one of the replies. And I'm like,
What has he won?
exactly. His one appearance in the playoffs, they blew a huge halftime lead. He couldn't put one more good drive together that entire second half. Especially
Now,
when
how
his
much you put on
defense had how many takeaways that game?
how much you put on that on the coach? I mean, Staley's not helping him at all.
He's not, but if Herbert's supposed to be as good and mentioned in the same breath as Mahomes, as Lamar, Allen, Hurts, Burt, like he should be able to put a drive together. We've seen all those quarterbacks do that this year. I feel like Herbert is this generation's Matthew Stafford. He'll have the numbers. He'll win a couple regular season games, and yeah, he's good. But I have questions. I think he has limitations that he's not going to go win a big game until he goes to a better team. So it's kind of like it's a bit of a cop out, but it's both. Like I don't think he's that guy, but the team's not doing him any favors either.
No, they're not, and I feel bad for him. It's not like he's not trying to win, but like I didn't want him when he was coming out of college. The one year the Giants were rumored to get him, because I didn't think he was ready. I didn't. I wasn't a big fan. I became a bigger fan of him that second year when he did actually come out for the draft and was drafted by the Chargers. But it just seems like he's never been able to put together a consistent great season. There always seems to be some issue. And I hope to see when he gets a new coach next year, when, not if, because Staley's not lasting, that he's going to become a great quarterback and put together, good offensive seasons because he has the talent. He's got the arm strength. I've seen him make crazy throws. but he needs to be able to be coached up more.
Yeah, I think the biggest disservice the Chargers have done to Herbert this year is not moving on from Staley earlier and seeing how Kellen Moore works with him.
Yeah,
Because I've been saying that I would have expected Kellen Moore to become the interim coach and then see, you know, look at that, see how he did, review it. Maybe he gets the full time job moving forward, or they bring in someone else and he stay. A couple different scenarios could have gone, but it's clear Staley not the answer.
absolutely.
Especially you look at other defensive minded head coaches. Robert Sala has the Jets defense in a good position. They just struggle because they have to be out there so many times because the offense is that bad.
Do
Houston's
defensive-minded
defense
head
has had a
coaches
huge
work
turnaround.
now? Dude, like, look at all the defensive-minded head coaches in the league. Do any of them actually succeed? Like Salah's on the precipice of getting booted. You
And I
know,
don't think he should be, but I
but,
agree he
but
is. But I think
it
that's more
wasn't. Well,
because
he's
you
gonna.
have a shorter leash in New York.
Well, not even that. He's had a pretty long leash for New York, but because of Aaron Rodgers, he's gonna get another year. But he's looking to like he's gonna be on his way out. D'Amico Ryan's, he's good. He gets another year to figure it out. He's kind of putting it together. Staley's gone. Belichick, I mean, is Belichick. He's gone at the end of the year. And he was a defense guy. I mean, Harbaugh was special teams. Who else was defense at this point that we're not thinking of?
I think McDermott was.
McDermott is, you're right. And that's why the Bills are struggling. They got rid of their offensive mind, kept the defensive guy, and he's not getting it done.
So even I mean that always hasn't translated to championships,
No.
but a lot of those teams they're in position right now. The Chargers, like there, you think of their defenses. The Jets, the Texans have improved a lot. Those are good defenses.
Those are good
Staley,
defense.
for a defensive-minded guy, his defense is not very good. Is the thing.
No, it's not.
So
And maybe he's trying to be more offensive minded in a way. I guess was it was it Steichen that was the defensive coordinator, or was he the offensive
he was the
coordinator?
offensive. Gannon was defensive.
Gannon. So the Cardinals have their defensive minded head coach, and quite frankly, I can see him being a one and done. You don't really hear his name as anything,
Yeah, I mean they also have one of the worst rosters in the
and one of
league.
the worst quarterbacks.
So it doesn't feel like that'd be a fair shake for Gannon for a 1 year. That would remind me really of the Steve Wilkes situation. I think he got a
Well,
bad deal
how about the
as well.
Lovey Smith situation with the Texans too?
Yeah, I mean they went and won that game and played him out of the first overall pick. So
That's true.
I don't know, but let's transition here because we're not just talking about the Colts today. We're having a dedicated segment to the Giants and to their quarterback, the passing paisan Tommy DeVito. And my question to you is: Is DeVito this year's Brock Purdy? Third string quarterback, he's taken over. Giants have had more success. This is what I thought I'd see from them.
I'm gonna say no, just because I feel like DeVito's already faced more adversity than Brock Purdy has ever faced in his NFL career.
Yeah, cushy situation in San
Brock
Francisco.
Purdy is like being born with a gold spoon in your mouth, and DeVito's the hard working class blue collar guy having to earn his living. Purdy was given an elite defense, an elite offense, an elite offensive line, an elite offensive coach. Name one thing that the Niners don't have other than a quarterback, because we're talking about Purdy. Like, what is their one main deficiency?
Just offensively,
Just team wise.
team wise, I feel
But
like the
their defense
secondary could be better.
could be better, but it's pretty good, isn't it?
Also, yeah, I mean Hofunga injured.
Well, yeah, but like at full health, they're a pretty good team
Yeah,
all around. I don't think they have any holes.
no,
So like DeVito just clawed the Giants out. The Giants are no longer the 32nd ranked offense. They're the 31st. That's progress,
not last.
not last. That goes to the Jets. So fun
Times in New
times in
York
New York.
continue. But do you
But
think DeVito? I guess the primary comparison here with Purdy is quarterback still a top priority in the draft? Because as you continue to win games, you're going to get further and further from the top.
quarterback.
I like what I've seen from DeVito. So is it do
Me
you
too.
bolster the team around him and continue his development? Daniel Jones, he has that out in his contract, but he's still going to be on this roster next year. No,
He's on the roster for one more year, guaranteed. But I think the way my draft philosophy is, and I think it lines up well with what Joe Shane will do with the Giants, and that's best player available. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself saying you need to draft a certain position no matter where you are because you never end up taking a great player because you force yourself on somebody. So I think they'll take best player available. If that's a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, you go for it. If that's a wide receiver, you go for it. Malik Neighbors is right there. If Brock Bowers is there, you take him. You take the best corner, best pass rusher. You don't need a defensive tackle. I think you're kind of okay there. But really, you take the best player available because that's how you make your team better. Don't worry about what your needs are because you don't draft for this year. You draft for 5, 6 years down the road when you don't know what your team's going to be like and you have somebody great. So you want to take the best possible player.
what would you do? Who would you roll out week one starter? Would it be Daniel Jones, a rookie, or DeVito?
Who's the rookie?
Take your pick of the top outside of like Caleb Williams, Drake May, because you would really have to trade up to get him. I don't know what the range is on some of the other ones. Think of like your fourth or fifth. Think of the
And
rookies.
and then how does the Giants season end this year? These are all questions that need answers before I can answer that. Does DeVito win the Super Bowl? Does DeVito
No,
bring us to the playoffs? Does he lose every game from here on out? Does he go 2-2? Does he beat the Eagles once? What are these questions? What are these answers?
you're looking too much into it than what
No,
I.
but that's all. That's what
It is
matters.
fair. It is fair. Let's say you split with Philly and
You
you
build a
either get it.
statue of DeVito. You build a statue. Nice vodka parm hero in one hand, football in the other. Just you build a statue if you can beat Philly once.
All right, let's say you beat Philly once, but you kick 4 field goals and hold them to one touchdown. You win like 12-7. Like he doesn't score any touchdowns.
But we win.
You win, but it's not really because of him.
You will be entering Tommy DeVito Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Are the Jets going to be okay with that? They don't get a choice, right?
They don't get a choice. They
You
can
let them stay there.
we let them, Tommy DeVito says he'll make them an offer they can't refuse. Okay.
Oh boy, we have to
No,
get at
no.
least one mafia
In,
rep.
in all in all seriousness, no. In all seriousness, though, DeVito's a fun story. He's improving every week. I don't know if he's the answer. It'll be incredible if he is. Because how many undrafted free agents can you even name that have been really successful? I
Romo
can
and
think of
Warner.
two. Those are the only two I can think of,
Yeah,
at least in the modern football age. So what he's doing is great. I mean, he might make a nice little career as a backup quarterback. I think week one, you probably say there's a competition that Daniel Jones wins. But at first sign of struggle, fans will be calling for DeVito.
yeah.
This is going to be like the Jets and Mike White, except I think DeVito's better. DeVito's risen to the occasion. He's shown it's not a one game wonder, and he's improving every game.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see what DeVito can put on tape the rest of this regular season, and if he can get them into the playoffs.
Do you think the whole Italian American and all the hand gestures and everything, you think it's being overplayed,
Not at
or do you,
all.
or do you think the NFL is kind of loving it still?
Oh, I'm sure they're loving it for how much they want to milk whatever's hot right now. But for right
It's
now,
the,
I still think I'm still enjoying it.
like Tommy DeVito's being marketed better than Shohei Ohtani is, and Ohtani's like the biggest. Shohei Ohtani signed a 10-year, $700 million contract in baseball.
NFL
That's a
is
lot of
king.
money,
Don't forget,
but the
in this
NFL is
country
king.
at least.
But so the contracts in the NFL aren't king.
No,
NFL's not for long, also. But the fact that baseball can't market their biggest international superstar who's doing things since Tungsten Arm O'Doyle and Babe Ruth, but the NFL can just market random Tommy DeVito who lives in his mom's basement into a celebrity. It's pretty incredible for the staying power the NFL has.
I think it's the relatability of it.
Yeah,
He is the blue
doing
collar
if DeVito
quarterback.
is doing this for the Colts, I don't think it's as
Oh
big
no,
it's any
it's
type of story because what connection to to Italian Americans do the Colts have?
well, I think it's the market too. Colts are a
Yeah,
much
that's what I
smaller
mean.
market than
I mean, I personally don't think there's such a thing as a small market when it comes to sports teams. Like Indy's a top 15 market in the country. That's not small.
I mean when you compare it to
Well, comparatively, yeah, but like
comparatively, yeah, but I get
Jim
what you
Irsay's not hurting for money.
I mean, he spends it all on guitars and musical
Other
artifacts of
other stuff too.
other stuff. All right, let's talk about outsiders of the week. I got to give credit where it's due. Titans edge rusher Harold Landry. Once upon a time, a prize draft selection at pass rusher for them. Heard he had 3 sacks the other night, and I was like, Harold Landry, he's still on the Titans. I actually forgot about him, but good for him. I remember liking him when he was coming up through the draft. So Harold Landry, I'll give him props. Really ruined my fantasy week this week by shutting Tua and that Dolphins offense up.
Close your eyes, cover your ears. You don't want to hear what I have to say. Gonna go Chase Brown, running back of the Bengals. Really kind of came out of nowhere. The Colts had no answer for him. 3 receptions on 3 targets for 80 yards and a touchdown, 8 rushes for 25 yards. So nothing great on the ground, but just over 100 total yards on the day. I don't know about you, but Chase Brown's not a guy I had on my radar at all this week or this season. So, you don't get much more outside than that, other than if you ask the ref, if you're lined up off sides, and then you move up another inch or two.
Take notes, Kadarius and Jalen too. Jalen Waddle. He didn't get flagged
As
for
a
it.
Giant fan, I am loving
Oh, I
what's
know
going
you.
on with Darius Tony because, like, he was DMing Giant fans, like female Giant fans, telling them how ugly they are. Like, think about
Wonderful.
that. We traded him. People were celebrating, and he's DMing female fans saying, you look ugly. You're a dog. You're this. You're that.
Not a good look.
We want his downfall.
You're getting it.
We're loving it.
You're getting it. All right, for games this week. Obviously, I mentioned the Steelers Colts game. I obviously have my eye on that one for many reasons, but also that Ravens Jags game. These are two teams currently leading their divisions, and both of them have other teams breathing down their necks. Cleveland is still winning games, even with Joe Flacco and a quarterback. 2 games behind Baltimore right now, and Jacksonville, as I said earlier, Indy and Houston both right behind them, though Jacksonville does have some favorable tiebreakers. This feels like a almost a must win for Jacksonville to kind of keep pace with the other top teams in the AFC, but also to continue to lead their division. What game are you looking forward to this week?
So, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dallas Bills because that's a nice game. Bills are on a hot streak. Dallas, probably possibly the hottest team in football right now. Or Philly, Seattle, especially as a Giant fan. Seattle losing. We traded Leonard Williams for a second round pick. Now it's a top 45 pick. They've won 1 game since that trade, and we won like 4. So, that's kind of nice watching that downfall happen. But the game I really want to focus on, and again, it's not Giants Saints, not yet. Giants win this week, then, Giants Philly will be a different question. But I'm going Broncos Lions. That's a Saturday night game. We're starting to get those Saturday games now that the college season's over. That's a Lions are favored by 5.5. And the Broncos are one of the biggest surprises there. A game out of the AFC West. Winning this, Kansas City, if they continue to lose, the Broncos and them will be tied. And imagine if Denver somehow wins the division after losing by 70 points to the Dolphins, pretty much.
That'd
All
be
right,
an
remember
all-time
that a few
record.
weeks ago? That 77 or whatever point route. I think it was 73,
I think it was 70 even.
70 even. They
I
could
think
have gotten
70.
more too. McDaniels was too nice.
Yeah.
But like going from that and then being able to go into the playoff race where they are a legitimate wild card, if not division contender, it's pretty incredible and goes towards Sean Payton's coaching ability. But that's kind of where I'm at. Lions, Broncos should be a fun one.
Yeah. I'm interested too to see how the Lions rebound. They've had a couple disappointing weeks now. You can almost start to see them slipping a little bit. Not that Green Bay, obviously, they didn't do their part this past Monday night. Uh, they came face to face with the wrong man at the wrong time. and Minnesota too, right behind them. So that's going to do it for today's episode, Outsiders. Another week down. That playoff picture is getting really spicy. Join us next week when we keep breaking everything down from the AFC, the NFC, everything in between, all the biggest storylines. Stay with us right here on the Outsider Sports Football Podcast. Thanks again for listening.